Welcome to Fight Club 24/7. My name's Johnny Rashman. Right, let's get straight into it. Arthur Beterbiev fights Callum Smith for the unified light heavyweight world titles tomorrow night. Right. Listen, right, it's an extremely hard fight for Callum Smith. I am under no illusions that he could get stopped at any moment in this fight. He's facing a formidable puncher. This is not just a banger. This is an extremely smart pressure fighter who hits like a truck, right? If he hits you, he's going to put you to sleep. We know this. But the moment this fight was announced, I've always maintained that I believe Callum Smith can win this fight. I believe he gets a lot of stick and he's criminally underrated. A lot of people are going off the Canelo fight, right? I've spoke to his ex-manager, his ex-trainer, Joe Gallagher, about that. And he told me himself he had problems going into this fight. This is what he said.
Yeah. Callum Smith, I'm still annoyed to today and bitter about it because I didn't have the best Callum Smith that night. We had 4 or 5 weeks notice. We were in lockdown. We couldn't get sparring partners in. And that was it. Callum had an ear infection. I think we did 5 spars and it was put us a 4 or 5 weeks notice. And Callum didn't fight the fight I wanted him to. I wanted him to go out there and be more of a Gerald McClellan style on the front foot and engage with Canelo early on and let him feel shots and drag him into it. So I feel Callum Smith didn't give a true reflection of himself that night, although he did well and went the distance.
Yeah. And this is not someone who's making it up. Right, you can see the problems he had. He had 4 or 5 weeks notice. He had an ear infection. It was locked down. He didn't get the sparring. He also had a bicep injury in the fight. Now, it's easy for people to say, oh, just wash over that. It's not an excuse. But I'm not being funny. If you're watching a football game, right, and the striker's got a pulled muscle, right, and he literally can't walk, he can't use one leg for the game, he's not going to be able to score goals, is he? Right? It's a legitimate excuse, right? Callum Smith, now, yes, the arm injury was as a result of Canelo targeting the arm. That's what he does. He literally hits the arm, tries to give you a dead arm so it comes down and he can get to the head, or he brings it up and he go to the body, right? So, okay, it was done during the fight, but he literally had one arm. Now, I'm not saying Callum Smith would have won that fight anyway, right? He didn't perform, but they are legitimate reasons, right? Callum Smith isn't the kind of guy who shows up to a big fight and freezes, right? In every fight he competes in, he does well, right? George Groves. People can say George Groves was washed up. They're using excuses them. But Callum Smith is a serious fighter. He was at super middleweight for too long. Have you seen the size of him? For me, he's filled out at light heavyweight. He's a monster puncher at that weight. This is a different beast. So if you're looking at the Canelo fight and you're thinking, well, you know what? Beterbiev's just going to do the same thing. I think you're not looking at this realistically. Now, yes, I can see the point that Beterbiev can stop him. Of course I can. I'm not under any illusions. Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say that's not going to happen, right? But I'm also not going to sit here and go off the Canelo fight and judge this fight off that fight. It's just the wrong thing to do. It was at a different weight. He had problems going into the fight. This is a different kettle of fish. Right? This is a Callum Smith who was on form. Okay, he's 15 months out the ring. He's inactive. It's not ideal, is it? Right? It is what it is. But at the end of the day, he's fighting a guy who's nearly 39 years of age. Callum Smith's 33, I believe. This guy in a few weeks' time will be 39. In the Anthony Yarde fight, which I also said would be a hard fight for him. A lot of people after timers after that. Before the fight, it was your last 2 rounds. Yarde's not on a world-class fight. He won't give him any trouble. He will just beat him up. And I said Anthony Yarde is a formidable puncher and he'll give him trouble. And he did. But Yarde isn't a volume puncher. He got involved in the firefight. They were trading and he sort of gassed out and the punches took their effect. But he had his moments in that fight and you could see weaknesses in Beterbiev. Now, you come a year later, he's not fought. He's had, did he have a bone injury or mouth injury that stopped the fight last August? So he's had problems, Beterbiev. I know Callum Smith's been inactive, but this guy's not. Callum Smith's been inactive, but he's been training. This guy's been inactive and he's had injuries, right? So there's a bit of a difference. So if he's going to go into this fight, Beterbiev, a year older, inactive, the idea that he's just going to blast through Callum Smith, I don't think that's going to happen, right? In my opinion, could it happen? Yes, but I think Callum Smith will perform, and I think he'll shut a lot of people up. Like, you would have heard a lot of predictions throughout the week, and we all have our opinions on it. And it's just a great fight. I can't wait for it. It's a proper boxing fight. Two world-class fighters. Callum Smith is not getting the credit he deserves from me because he's chasing this man down. There's not a lot of people who want to fight Beterbiev. This guy wants to fight him. He wants to test himself. He thinks he can beat him. He's hunting this guy down. He's going to his home city. It's Rocky IV kind of stuff. He's like he's fighting Ivan Drago in the snow. You understand what I mean? This is a formidable night. He's going to have to go through hell at Callum Smith to win this fight. Now, I have been saying in the last few weeks that I'm not going to let my heart rule my head in. I'm going to give my opinion on who I think will win the fight. I'm not just going to back the British fighter, but I am conflicted, right? And look, last week with O'Hara, Davis and Barroso, I can say it now, you can believe me or not, I had a bad feeling he'd lose the fight during the week, O'Hara, Davis. My instinct was telling me that he'd lose. I didn't say anything. I didn't put a video content out. I was actually ill last week, the big flu. But listen, that's my fault. You can believe me or not, and I just had a feeling O'Hara wouldn't win the fight. And he didn't. And my instinct, I always trust my instinct in boxing, right? It very rarely fails me. But I am conflicted with this because I do think Callum Smith can win the fight. But my instinct is showing me visions of Callum Smith being backed up in the ropes. He does keep his chin in the air and him taking shots and the referee stopping it. I'm seeing that in my head. I am. So I'm conflicted. I'm really torn. I'm really torn with who's going to win this fight because that's the vision I'm getting. But I can also see Callum Smith winning. I think once Beterbiev tastes the body shots, when he tastes that left hook, he's not going to walk through that. Callum Smith is a big lump at light heavyweight. He is, super middleweight. He shouldn't have been making that weight for so many years. It was draining him. You could see it in his performances, right? This is a different version of Callum Smith. I've always said he's a world-class fighter. Okay, he doesn't talk like Conor McGregor. He doesn't want to put himself in the news, fine. But he goes about his business, right? This guy's technically sound. He's a very good fighter. And I don't understand why the whole of the UK is not behind him. I don't understand it. All I'm seeing is people just discrediting him, his record. Look at the Canelo fight. He's fighting the best fighter in the world. He had one arm. He had 4 weeks to prepare. He had an ear injury. He hardly sparred. Okay, you can just gloss over it and go, oh, it's excuse or excuse. It's easy to say when you're not fighting a bloody beast like that. He didn't go down. He didn't take a knee. He took the beating, right? And he lost. Right, but he didn't get stopped in the first few rounds. It wasn't an absolute mauling. He just took he got beat in the fight, which he had one arm in. That is a legitimate excuse. This is a different fight, right? If Beterbiev walks through him, I have to hold my hands up. It is what it is. As I say, I'm not sitting at this like a Devin Haney Prograis fight or a Ryan Garcia and Tank fight when I'm absolutely adamant this is going to happen. I think this is my opinion, right? But I'm not 100% confident. You can't be. I'm not stupid enough to sit here and say Beterbiev can't knock Callum Smith out. He's a formidable man. I've seen him live. I was in Madison Square Garden when he fought Joe Smith Jr. I was behind the scenes. I had a friend of mine who was fighting on the undercard. I was in the toilet. I walked out. He walked in front of me. He's a formidable man at the weigh-in this was, right? I've seen him close up. He's a fucking scary bloke. I'm not going to lie. He's a formidable man, right? And Callum Smith is going to this guy and saying, I want to fight you. So that has to be respected regardless of what happens. Now, we can talk about game plans and I can go into it, but it is that old saying, like, everyone has a plan until they get hit in the face. Callum Smith might have a game plan, but as soon as he takes that power, that might go out the window. I don't think he can get involved in a firefight with him. I think he has to get his respect early on. He has to command Beterbiev's respect early on. He has to make sure that Beterbiev isn't walking through him. Right, because if Beterbiev just doesn't have any regard for your respect, he'll just walk you down. No matter what age he is, he'll just walk you down. You have to hit him with strong jabs, go to the body, double it up, feints, feint to the body, come up over the top. Right, you have to let your hands go. But the problem is when you're fighting a formidable puncher who's a smart counter puncher as well. Sometimes you don't want to throw your shots because if you throw your shots, you're leaving yourself open, and if this guy has got his distance and timing right, you're going to be in trouble. So fighters can freeze up, I hope that doesn't happen to Callum Smith. I hope he goes out there and be the Callum Smith we know he is, which is a volume puncher, goes for the head and body, good shot selection, formidable finisher. If Callum Smith gets him hit, he will jump on him and he'll get the job done. He's a spiteful finisher, Callum Smith. Right, he is. A lot of people are forgetting this. He is a spiteful finisher. So if he gets him hurt, he'll get the job done. But he has to go in there and be himself. He can't let Beterbiev dictate the pace. It was so interesting because there's so many things that can happen in the fight. And I just think it's a phenomenal fight. I could not wait to watch it. It's snowing in Canada, you know, in Quebec where it's going to be. It's like I say, it's real Ivan Drago stuff, Rocky IV. It's got that feel to it. He's fighting a Russian monster. Do you know what I mean? It's got that big fight feel. And it's the kind of fight where we've been waiting for ages. You know, it was meant to be last August and it's been postponed a few times. And we've been waiting ages for this fight, you know, and it's finally here. And I just can't wait for it, man. I just think it's just going to be an exciting fight. And the thing about Beterbiev, I love watching him because he just brings excitement. There's drama. When I watched him against Joe Smith Jr., the whole bloody auditorium, it was in the Hule Theatre at Madison Square Garden. That's not the big arena, that's the small one. Everyone was in shock because Joe Smith's a tough guy, you know. He's a tough New Yorker. He's no mug. And Beterbiev just went through him like a hot knife through butter. Everyone was like, the fuck are we watching here? He's the monster. Absolute monster. I mean, after the fight, I was ringside. Joe Smith afterwards, he didn't know where he was. Like, he literally didn't know where he was. He took a beating. I don't think that's going to happen to Callum Smith. I really don't. I think Callum Smith is going to rise to the occasion. He's going to shock a lot of people. And if he loses, I think he will lose going out on his shield. But I think he could shock the world. I really do. I think he's got all the ability. I've always been a big Callum Smith fan. And I actually thought he could beat Canelo. I'm not going to lie. I thought he is the one UK fight who could cause Canelo a lot of trouble. And he could beat him. And it never happened. It is what it is. But he'll put that to bed. Right? I think it's all about timing boxing. It's very hard and it's difficult to go off different fights in different weight divisions. You can't really do that because this is a different weight class. He's not draining himself to make the weight. He's not had 4 weeks notice. He's had bloody 15 months notice. Can't use that as an excuse for this fight. Do you know what I mean? He would have prepared for Beterbiev every day for the last year, non-stop, drilling with Buddy McKirk in his corner. He's no mug buddy, right? He will come up with a proper game plan and he will know he has to get Beterbiev's attention. You can't go in there and be hesitant. You can't do. If you're going to go with that game plan, you might as well not bother, right? Because you'll get found out. You have to be confident. You have to be yourself. Let this man feel your power. Let the bully feel your power. And let's see what happens when he's backed up and he's taking body shots. Let's see. 38-year-old, nearly 39, right? The body, been in, a lot of training camps. Let's see how he reacts to it. But I tell you what, there's not many people picking Callum Smith. They don't want to pick him. I am. I'm going to pick him. Right? As I say, I'm not 100% confident. You can't be when you're fighting a ferocious puncher. But I'm picking him to win. I really believe that the stars are going to align. And this is the moment where Callum Smith's going to put the Canelo fight to bed, and he's going to prove how good he is, because I've always said he's a phenomenal world-class fighter, right? He's criminally underrated still to this day. People just underrate him. He had tough fights against John Ryder. Okay, well, Canelo had a tough fight against John Ryder. He was a strong, come-forward pressure fighter. It was at that weight, though, super middleweight. This is what's always in my mind. I think he was at that weight for too long. He's a fucking monster. Look at the size of him. You're draining. You're boiling yourself down. You're losing a lot of your performance. Right? You're going to lose stuff. So I think it's crazy why fighters do that a lot of the times. I don't understand it. Okay, he's not fought any high-level fighters at light heavyweight, but the knockouts, he hits you. He's going to put you to sleep. Can Callum Smith land that left hand? I think he can. I think he'll set it up. I think if he goes to the body, right, touches the body and then bang, brings it up. People can know the catch counter. Yeah, that's a good shot. Listen, he is good at that. He is good at catch count, that catching hits with the left foot. He's good at that. Well, Beterbiev will be preparing for that. He's not stupid. But I think the openings will be there. He'll give you openings, Beterbiev. At this stage of his career, he can go at any time. He can grow old overnight at any time. So he's going to give you the openings. A pressure fighter, they're hard to fight against, but they'll always give you openings. It's your job to find those openings and to rubber stamp your authority on the fight, right? As I'm going to keep saying, you can't be hesitant. You have to stamp your authority. And we'll know in the first few rounds if Callum Smith's going to shell up and go into his shell, or if he's going to believe in himself that he's going to win this fight. I think he believes in himself. I think the fact he wants this fight, I think he will have the perfect game plan. And I think this will be the time where Callum Smith shows just how good he is. But my official prediction for this fight, this might not age well, but I think Callum Smith will knock Beterbiev out round 7, 8, 9, round about that mark. I think he will. Right, well, we'll see. We'll see. Look, as I say, I'm not confident. If I get it wrong, listen, I don't actually care, because who knows? You know, he's fighting a monster. I don't know. You know, it's just a crazy fight, man. Because there's going to be fireworks. Someone's going to get stopped. Like, these are just two big punches. Someone is going to get stopped, and I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. This is what boxing's about. We want fights like these. There's no gimmicks. We're going to have a proper crowd in there. It's going to be a great atmosphere. Okay, it's at 3, 4 in the morning in the UK, but it is what it is. You know, I don't mind staying up when it's a fight like this. The juices are going to be flowing. I just can't wait for it. It's just going to be a edge of your seat kind of fight, because when Beterbiev is fighting, that's what happens. That's how exciting this guy is. He's such an exciting fighter. You literally can't take your eyes off him, because he brings excitement. He drags you into a fight. You never watch a boring fight with him. It's impossible because he's so exciting. He brings so much drama and excitement. He's just a bulldozer looking to bulldoze his way through. Can he do it against Callum Smith? We're going to see, but my official prediction is I think Beterbiev will do well in the first few rounds, right? But I think Callum Smith will establish his jab, and I think Beterbiev will find it hard to get through that jab. I think he will struggle. He's fighting a taller man. Callum Smith does like to fight on the inside. Usually tall men aren't great on the inside, but he's actually a good inside fighter. But I don't think he'll have a firefight straight away. I think he'll try and keep it on the outside, but he'll go to the body. He'll invest in the body, right? And that will leave the openings to land his left hook. He has to be on his game defensively. Right? He might get dropped. You can't deny that, right? But I think he gets past the first 5, 6 rounds, that is where he needs to be, right? Because, as I say, 38, nearly 39 years of age, you want to take that body into the championship round, and that's when the body work will come into effect. And I believe the openings will be there to land that big left hook, and I think he will land it, and I think Callum Smith will become the unified light heavyweight world champion. I'm not confident, but that's what my prediction is. Right, let me know what you think. Who is going to win this fight? Do you agree with my assessment? Will Callum Smith become a unified light heavyweight world champion, or will Beterbiev walk through him? Like, comment, subscribe, let me know.